production. Everybody's like, oi mate, what's your game of the year? There's way too many, man, it ain't really clear. Sat down with a blank page and a beer, and I waited and waited and prayed that a name would appear. But nope, and at the very moment I lost hope. I put 2018 in the super scope and came up with this tune and it's super dope. It goes, Dear Philip Mewson, this whole year's been a bit confusing. You wanna come back cause you're sick of losing. I know you love a quick solution, so here goes. Allow me to offer my work, I wanna make a living off of these words. I need to get popular first, so could you please copy this verse? Put it up on your YouTube, and if I'm lucky then it might get a few views. And when the trolls roll up to abuse you, I'll be like, this motherfucker stole my song, boo-hoo. My scheme might seem like a pipe dream, like having more than a dark and a light theme. But we can make it easy as cash, then you never ever see me like Waluigi and Smash. But all jest aside, I'm in a war frame of mind, it's genocide. Or should I take the pacifist route, so you wouldn't have an inkling when I happen to shoot and splatter your troops? Diablo made me do it, because cash is the root. I'm gathering loot till tomorrow night and dropping out of the blue like Hollow Knight. And when the needle drops, you get chopped in half, trying to block my octopath, it won't end well. They tell tales where the walking dead fell. You ain't a terrorist threat, that's a dead cell. My SD card weighs a ton, a Nintendo dad trying to raise my son. So I grind till the game is won, and everybody put their hands in the air like praise the sun. Have them bouncing around like Yoku, shooting a messenger of something that you don't do. You better mute that sound, boy, cause I couldn't give a hoot like owl, boy. I'm a foul, boy. Every song written pops out with a bang like bomb chicken. With 20 or 30 releases a week, I'm channeling Madeline, reaching the peak. Into the breach, hyper like drifting through limbo. I made it inside by the skin of my teeth. Cause it's hard to function when the stress increases in the darkest dungeon. But I'm so far from the ordinary, I get more shout outs than Sean Capri. Old school like a Ford Capri or a mini Metro. Yeah bro, the kid is retro, but I'm still dressed in the freshest clothing when I'm in the bad north or the west of Loven. You want beef cause I overlooked you, well I like my beef overcooked too. It's all part of the master plan, I move like a whole army of master hands, and it will take more than a warp star to escape it. The name's Kong, of course I go H. It's the 2018 switch up, it's the 2018 switch up. If you don't know, better fix up. It's the 2018 switch up, it's the 2018 switch up, it's the 2018 switch up. If you don't know, better fix up. It's the 2018 switch up.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nintendo Talk Live. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest rapper in all the land, Mr. Benji Cong. What is up, Benji?
Oh, good. Thank you.
You weren't expecting that one.
No, definitely not. I've never been called that before.
Yeah.
But, I'll take it. I'll take it.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Listen, you know what? You can say whatever you want. That little bit that you did that I showed at the beginning. So if you're watching now or whatever, you missed it, you can go back and watch that. But if you that little bit's what introduced me to you. I had no clue who you guys were. You know, I mean, I that's not necessarily true. I had seen like the Switch Island stuff popping up, people tweeting stuff, but I didn't really know the players in the thing, and I was still kind of working my way back to everything. So. Travis Dawson, Ted, thank you so much for the $5, man. I
lighting
that.
up.
Yeah, lighting up, man. Listen, I told you, professional. My name is not Danny Ward, man. I do stuff right around here.
And we started on time. I've never seen this before.
Listen,
this is amazing.
This is how you do it. See, stick with me. I'll teach you guys what it's all about. Yeah. We did the show, right? We did the show. I was on Switch Island, like a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that, whatever it was. Yeah. And then afterwards, we chatted for like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
And I was just teaching you guys, like just giving you guys lessons, you know. Lesson number one: never podcast with Toby. So that's why you're here.
You've done that so far.
Yeah, so far, so good with that. Lesson number two. Beware of Sean Capri and his rage, his Canadian Hulk rage.
Ooh, is he the angriest Canadian on earth? The man is a beast.
So here's the thing. Last night, if you listen to If We Ran Nintendo Tomorrow or whatever, this week's episode, him and I are talking, and he's like, how did this happen? Like, how did I go from me to like I'm like, oh, to me, you turned into like,
Yeah.
like I'm the one that's normally, and he's like, I don't understand how people like they like you and they attack me now.
You're
And
the nice one.
well, I said to him, I
How'd
said,
that happen?
yeah, I said, well, Sean, I'm not the one out there challenging people to fight all the time. Like you're literally challenging podcasts to fist fight. Like what? Are you, like what are you doing? So,
Brilliant.
so he tried to like.
Good for the listeners.
He tried to flip it, and I wouldn't let him off the mat, man. I just kept him down. Like no, Sean. That's not how we.
See, the thing is, what you would say in 500 words, Sean will say in 5, and that makes it seem so much more cutting. It gets straight to the bone.
That was like a backhanded compliment, man. Wow.
See,
okay.
I've learned from Sean clearly.
Okay, I'm gonna have a chat with Sean, and then we're gonna have to go after Switch Island next.
Oh.
I just sent him after. And listen,
There's like 20 of us, man. Bring it on.
I'm not worried about it. Listen, it takes 20 of you just to equate to me, so I'm not worried about it. Like that's I'm not scared at all.
Right.
I mean, if we were doing rap battles, I might be worried. But we're just we're talking fisticuffs. We're talking we're talking real stuff, not that sissy.
Wow, this has been 5 minutes and we're already talking about beating the crap out of each other.
It's
Brilliant.
good stuff. It's good stuff. Okay, so let's rein it in. Let's back it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let everybody know like that don't know who you are, what you do, where you're from, all that good stuff. Like talk about yourself for a little bit.
Okay, cool. So as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm from the UK, and I joined a group of Nintendo content creators called Switch Island, which is on the T-shirt here for the video watchers representing. I joined up with those guys. I think they've been going since January last year, so not too long. But I started listening to their podcasts, pretty much from day one. And then, just got kind of chatting to them on Twitter, like you do.
Yeah.
And I think it was when I posted a picture that I bought myself a capture card.
Okay.
Because I wanted to get into content creation and stuff as well. And then Dan basically tweeted me straight away saying, come and join us. And this was in December, the end of December last year. Mm-hmm. So not long. I mean, I've only been doing stuff with them, 3-4 months now.
And see, that's the thing. Like you guys, so you guys were starting, and I was leaving last year.
Yeah.
And then I came back.
We tried to take your spot, but then you came back and buggered it all up.
Listen, the king doesn't allow people to take his throat.
Just a mere court gesture.
Yeah. You guys are just like it's there, and I'm like, I'm going to reclaim that son of a. I'm going to take it back. It's going to be mine. Good. But I'm going to let people kind of think I'm dead, which I did. I kind of just fell off. And it was funny because the only one that was trying to get me to come back was Patrick, Nintendo Talk. Like, he was constantly like, Bobby, you want to come on Planet Nintendo this week? I'm like, Pat, no. No. Like, I don't want to podcast from my mom's room. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, there's this old lady wallpaper on the wall. Like, no, man, stop. Like, look what I have behind me, and you want me to go to like that? No, not happening. But I did do it a couple times, and but yeah, it was.
That podcast in particular needed you. That's one of the first times I heard you was on that podcast.
Okay.
And no disrespect to Joe or Pat, but that dynamic between the three of you is what was great about it.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into you in the first place.
Okay, well there you go.
So
that's where you found me there. Over there. Okay.
Yeah. I just basically went through, subscribing to as many podcasts as I could find on Switch stuff. Yeah. That was one of them, and obviously I dropped off listening to some of the poorer quality ones.
Yeah.
But,
so like if we ran Nintendo, you stop listening to. And,
stop listening to that.
Nintendo PlayStation.
Went well off the rails. Yeah.
The funny thing is I feel it's crazy because I feel like right now I'm probably producing some of the best podcasting I've done in a long time. Like in terms of, I feel like If We Ran Nintendo is right back on rhythm to when Sean and I first started, because there was a long stretch there where I feel like it kind of went off the rails a little bit. But I feel like now with him and I back in that dynamic of just riffing off each other, like it can really, and the nice thing is he doesn't yell at me like he used to. because it used to be bad. Like he used to really give me some guff, and all that.
He's
stuff.
a scary dude. Scary dude.
Yeah, he is. Gary,
but now he's got that kind of quiet menace about him, like a mob boss.
I don't know about quiet because he's been running his jaws, man. He's been seriously like attacking people. What you call it? This guy with a flat cap. You know this guy, right? This Gary Gray.
Oh, Cat Flat Barry. Yeah. Well.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
He's on a few little podcasts. I don't know what they do.
Now and again.
Now and again. Yeah. Whatever. Whenever he decides to wake up at 4 a.m, he's got no dedication like Justin Massey.
No.
Like Justin gets up at 4. Like me and Sean were talking about that one day. I'm like, Justin is being treated like the fifth Beatle, man. Like he's just like, well, you went over there. We're gonna keep doing our time. What we're doing, like nobody adjusts for Justin. Nobody's like, hey, let's just move it to a different day.
Let's meet in the middle somewhere. No, you get up at 3 o'clock, mate.
Yeah, and it's like, and then they wonder why he was grouchy and grumpy. Like, dude, you wait.
Well, that's the thing. We had him on our podcast a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But we recorded because obviously he's in the same time zone as us. So we recorded at like this time, which is like 8 p.m. here. Yeah. And he was like perky, cracking jokes. It was amazing. Whereas you listen to him on Nintendo Dad, sometimes he's like, "Okay, guys, kill me now," and you're just waiting for Marty to say something that will just set him off.
And it like clockwork typically happens.
Happens every time.
So the funny thing is, though, is when Sean and I had him on a very early episode of If We Ran Nintendo. And me and Sean talk about it all the time, like, dude, this guy came with like charts and like how we're gonna like run Nintendo, and like me and Sean are looking at each other like, maybe we should just leave the show and leave Justin here because he's on point, man. Yeah, it's just nuts. Listen, yeah, exactly. No, you know what? Sean and I are good with image and form. He's found. Because Image and Form has kind of skyrocketed. At the time, they were still kind of lesser known, and he was getting annoyed with me. And now I've kind of talked less about Image and Form because I'm afraid Sean's going to beat me up. And but he's on the bandwagon now. It's finally it's taken a while, but he's on the bandwagon. Speaking of Image and Form, did you try Quest this weekend?
Yes, I did. Yeah, tried it out. I saw you've been playing it as well, so you've obviously got yourself code too.
I have the game.
I'm not sure how much we can.
I can't say anything at all. I'm under embargo until the 23rd.
Well, I can talk about.
Say is I've been playing it, and that's it.
Exactly, same here. And obviously, I played it at EGX Rezzed, which is basically PAX over here. Yes. And yeah, that was just the tutorial, but seems pretty slick. Yeah. Seems like a good couple of notches up from Dig 2 in terms of graphics and presentation and stuff. So, and they, they've just condensed that gameplay back down to its, its purest form, and they're just so good at what they do.
They definitely.
It's a slick operation.
They are. They're some.
The nicest guys as well.
Oh my God, Julius! I love Julius to death. He is fantastic. Brian is awesome. I love Brian as well. I met Brian. I've never met Julius face to face. We've talked numerous times. We've podcasted. Julius and I one time we did when we had the Geekcast back in the day. Toby and I we had Julius on an episode, and when it got done, Julius and I sat there for 3 hours talking afterwards. And he was in the studio, or he was in the offices, and he's walking around with his laptop giving me a tour of the office. And I was like, this is fantastic, man. Like, it was just one-on-one time, and like, just, it was so great, man. But they are just fantastic people. We're 17 minutes in. We have not even gotten to anything of the show that we should. This
having a good old chin.
This is what happens when you bring someone from the island on. They just destroy things.
Speaking of the island, though, and Julius, go to youtube.com/theswitchisland. We have got a little interview with him that I did last week. So
that's awesome. If you check that out,
hear a few bits and bobs about SteamWorld.
I'm surprised Brian lets Julius talk. That's it's a rarity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously Brian didn't deem it worthy to go to London, London, so
Well, listen, why does he want to slum it with you guys? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
he comes to New Jersey and he meets me, and then he's like, it's all down for the hill from here. I'm not going to England. I'm not going to meet none of those guys. So I don't blame him. I totally get it.
No, I don't. To be honest, I'm surprised you're even talking to us. Really.
Oh, you know, well, Sean asked me to do it. That's all. That's the only reason. You know, actually, Toby's probably going to watch this later and be so mad that that I'm actually hanging out with you because he got mad the last time.
We want to get on Nintendo PlayStation podcast.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Timings,
the timing's the hard part. I'll talk to Toby. I'll try to square it away with him because he's the linchpin. He's just basically locked in on Sundays, and it's it's a nightmare for everybody. He could care less about anybody but himself. It's just he's always been that way. He's always been that way. It's
selfish.
I think I told you guys the story about when he booked Kyle Bossman on the show. Did I tell you that?
I think you did. Yeah.
And
what happened?
What happens is
when it didn't he like
he tells him the wrong time. Like he gets all proud that he locks in Kyle Bossman to come on the Geekcast. Right. And I'm like, holy crap, like, how did you even land this? He's like, I just messaged him. And he agreed. And I'm like, okay, did you tell him times? He's like, yeah. So we all get locked in and we're going to go. And then we're like waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm like, Toby, like, are you messaging him? Like, is he coming or not? And he's like, he's not answering me. And I'm like, and all of a sudden I go, did you tell him the right time zone? And he's like, oh. I'm like, wait a minute, what time did you tell him? And he's like, I told him like 9. I'm like, Toby, it's 6 a.m. where he lives. The dude ain't going to get up for us at 6 a.m. And that was it.
Toby.
That was it, Toby.
Bless little Tobes.
Don't bless him.
Bless him.
F him.
I really wanted to try and find a kind of messy black wig, and I was going to pretend to be him for like the first 5 minutes.
That would have been fantastic.
But, afraid I didn't. I was working on the accent and everything.
Yeah, he's not allowed. He's not allowed on the show. We've made that clear. We've told.
Have you never had him on this show?
Never had him on this show. So what happened was
weird.
When I first started this show, this show was for me to get away from those idiots. Away from Sean, away from Pat, away from Toby.
Talk to a better class of
Just talk to different people, man. Because Toby didn't like guests. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't like me bringing guests on. If we ran Nintendo, there's really not a room for a guest. It just makes the dynamic a little wonky sometimes. You have to have the right person to come on that show. And Planet Nintendo, there was 3 of us. I'm like, we don't really bring a third person or a fourth person on that show. And that's the way we kept it.
Unless they're better looking than Joe. I think that would be the only reason.
Well, that's nobody ever. Like, that guy's fantastic.
That's just like...
So I started this show to kind of get away from them and to bring people on that I could get to hang out with and talk with. And it just took off, essentially. Like, and then I started getting guests, like, really, like, big name people. And...
Look at what you got now.
Well, yeah, now it fell apart, but I'm trying to come back. One day I'll get somebody big again.
Start from the bottom.
Start from the bottom, yeah.
Cheers, Bill.
but then they got, like, nervous to come on. Because they're like, how do we, like, right now you're nailing, like, some really big name people. Can we even compete? We don't want to come on. And we're like, so they told me they didn't want to come on. Then a couple weeks ago, Sean was like, Ben, are you ever going to get me on? And I was like, oh, you want to come on now? Now you want to be a part of it. Speaking of which, he just liked the tweet that we sent about the show coming on, so we gotta be careful. He may be showing up any minute here, so we gotta be watching.
He's got ears everywhere.
Exactly. So let's. Cool. I think we should jump into the show. How about that? We're like 21 minutes in and have not even.
Strap in, people. It's gonna be a long one.
There we go. So let's whatever. What is? Typically, I like to ask 3 questions of my guests. So we're going to start that off now. What is the first Nintendo console that you ever owned in your life?
It was the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the old school. Yeah.
Okay. So
the classic. Yeah. Not the NES. We don't all say NES. I know you guys think all Brits say NES and SNES.
Well, that's because I got idiot Toby. You know, that always he swears up and down that's what it is, and then you get a couple people like Donnie Reese that like he tries to act like he's posh. I guess he forgets where he's from, and
it's classy.
Yeah.
But no, NES, NES.
That's good. That's
but
good.
Yeah,
I like
played that. And, that's what started it all off. I was pretty young at the time, and it was just it was well. I'll show you. Look, it's the first game I ever owned.
Oh wow.
Was
Okay.
this and this is the exact copy, as you can see from the state that it's in.
Yeah, but you know what? That's pretty awesome.
And I was into obviously Turtles at the time. Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, we called it over here.
Get
I think
out
you
of
guys-
here! Are you serious?
Yeah, apparently I think Ninja was too aggressive,
Well, you guys are sissies.
which is weird because normally, if
Well-
this was Switch Island, I would be swearing like a trooper. But
This
obviously,
is
'cause
true. This is true.
So it's weird the different censorships,
Yeah.
but I assume it was something to do with either Ninja being kind of violent or like
That's so weird.
criminal activity or something
Like
like
it's
that.
not like they
Yeah.
said Teenage Mutant effing Turtles. Like I can see, I can see. Then you're like, whoa, we can't have that
Although
on there.
I would watch that.
Well, I think
would've been
I think everybody would watch that. You know, that's the.
In fact, if you Google it, it's probably out there somewhere.
Well,
Someone's probably made
I'm
a fan
I'm-
movie of it.
I'm sure there's
Um,
a porn version
But yeah,
of
I
it
was really
somewhere.
into that, and my brother had like I've got an older brother. He had a, we were into computers over here, so we all had Sinclair Spectrums and Commodore Amigas and things like that.
Yeah,
so my
that's,
brother had,
when you talk to a lot of people from Europe. A lot of them were into programming and making their own games and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So he had, I think it was a Commodore VIC 20,
okay.
which is like a proper old thing, but the games were on actual cassettes, like
Okay.
audio cassettes.
Yes.
Oh, it's just mental to think of it now. But so that kind of got me into it, just playing with his stuff. And then when I saw this on the shelf with the Turtles game, I just probably would have just harassed my parents.
Not that I
This is
blame
what I
you.
want for Christmas. This is what I
Yeah.
want for Christmas.
Not
Got
that
it,
I blame
and
you. It was-
never look back.
It was a good game. It was a good game. It's hard, hard,
so
yeah,
hard.
so hard. But it was.
I don't think I ever got past the level where you have to defuse the bombs
okay.
underwater.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I should play it now, and I'll probably be even worse at it. That's what happens usually, isn't it?
Although you know what, I used to be really bad at Castlevania, and now when I play it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is simple. Why did I struggle as a kid? And it wasn't like I was bad. Like I'm beating Mike Tyson in Punch Out, but I can't play Castlevania. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
Who knows?
No, it's weird because we over here I think we were kind of disconnected from the media a little bit in terms of knowing. Like I was the only kid that had an NES. Everyone else had either a Commodore Amiga or a Master System.
Oh,
Sorry to talk about Sega. I had
That's not a
you
system.
knew it was going to come up.
Master.
No, it's
trash systems more like it.
Yeah.
And
so-
hold on, because this is what bothers me about you, not you, because you're different, you're special. But a lot of these guys come over, right, and they want to like throw the Sega around like it was the be all end all. The Master System, I will say, I thought the Master System was actually pretty good. Well, in terms when you like looked at the graphics and stuff, like their games seemed like the games weren't that great, but they had some good graphics with their games. The Genesis, though, I don't feel was that good. I didn't like the Genesis that much at all. I preferred.
No, look, I think that's a pretty common conception from stateside.
Yeah.
I think we just loved it over here.
Yeah.
Everyone, all of my mates had Mega Drive, as we call it.
Well, the thing is you guys didn't really have NESs for the most
No.
part. They were.
It was literally I knew one other kid that had one
Yeah,
out of my entire school.
yeah.
And I would swap games with him, and he had. I mean, his game collection. Looking back now, I didn't know what was good.
Yeah.
I was just whatever 5 games they had in the shop,
Yeah.
I would pick from them. So I got some weird games like Solstice and
Yeah.
Snake Rattle and Roll and
Yeah.
Airwolf, which
Yeah.
is a crap game.
It's crap, yeah.
But it was like, those are my options.
Yeah.
Whereas he had got stuff like Mario 2 and DuckTales and things like that, and the Gremlins game and all
Oh,
these
the great
things. that were
game,
quite.
man. He has some good games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just kept them for months on end. And
Yeah. See, the thing is I think if we would have gotten the bad system first too, it would have been a different story, But we got the upper echelon game, I'm joking. I'm kind of being facetious about it, but the thing of it is like coming off the Atari 2600 and then moving into the NES, dude. It was like Nintendo could do no wrong after that because it was such a drastic upswing in graphics and everything that it was just like,
yeah.
no, we can't. You know what I mean? Like, so when Sega started to come over, I think that's why they really didn't get a fair shake, because people were just like, no. Nintendo took us from this to this. Don't even try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you always had like one or two kids in the neighborhood that had one, and would try to tell you how much better it was, and then they would just get beat up at the lunch table. Like, it was just,
it's weird. It's like totally opposite here.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the other way around.
Yeah.
The Mega Drive, in particular, to a lesser extent, the Master System.
Yeah.
But Sega was always like the cool one.
Yeah.
And Nintendo was for kids, and look, that stigma's kind of carried on.
It's always carried on. It's always carried on.
25 years, whatever.
It's always been that way. But I think the biggest thing for Nintendo that saves it 9 times out of 10 is the quality is always there. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one thing. Like, people can say what they want about the games maybe being kiddie or whatever, like, but at the core of it, it is controls spot on, graphics are always perfect, the music is dead on. Like, all these things are just really, really good, and I think that's what continues to make people just always look at them and fall back to them. And then occasionally they do something like the Switch, and it's just like, oh wow, man, like, they can still do the cool systems as well. So
yeah. Right, they're always full of surprises, and I think that's why we love them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What was the first Nintendo console that you ever bought with your own money?
Well, this is a difficult one because it depends how you class that. If the first one that I acquired through my own here's the first one that I acquired through my own negotiating power. Let
me define this for you. The first one that you actually took money out of your pocket and handed it to somebody, and then they gave you a console. That's how you purchase things.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I know, but there's other ways to acquire things. You know, you're a criminal mastermind. You understand how this goes.
Listen, what you did on the side behind closed doors, that's between you and that person. I don't need to know.
Actually, to be honest, it's worth telling this because this ties in with what we were talking about the Mega Drive.
This is not Switch Island. You can't say the things.
Can't just go off on a tangent. But listen.
Okay.
So basically, I went to visit my older cousin. You know, I was still a little snotty-nosed kid at the time. But I had a Mega Drive at the time. Went to his, and he had a Super Nintendo. And I played that. I played, Super Mario World. I'd never seen one before in the wild. I was like, I'd never even heard of it. Because again, this is pre-internet.
Yeah.
Nobody else owned Nintendo stuff. I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And imagine all you'd ever known is, pre-Super Mario World. So I basically said to my much older cousin, he's probably, 10, 15 years older than me at the time. So he's like an old teenager. I said, look, why don't we swap? Because this Mega Drive is so much cooler. Girls are going to think you're way cooler. You don't want this stupid kiddie thing. Let me take that off your hands. Yeah, I'll take. I'll take Mario World. I'll take R-Type.
No, you did not. You could.
And you can have this Mega Drive. You can have this Mega Drive. Yeah, with all of these games that are crap. And then we'll just do a swap. No money exchanged. And I don't know if he was high, or something at the time, but he was just like, yeah, all right, yeah, good one. So I basically just hustled my own flesh and blood in order to acquire a Super Nintendo. So whether you class that as, I paid with a Mega Drive rather than money, but
you made the better choice.
I did.
This goes
but
to show.
Don't get me started.
This goes to show the level of intelligence of Benji Cong. I can appreciate that.
Don't give me too much credit though, because later, and I say this through gritted teeth, I sold that very same Super Nintendo with all the games that I'd accumulated, all the amazing games on it. I sold it in order to buy a Sega Saturn with one game. And that is the greatest heartbreak.
You are the dumbest person in the world.
I've gone from 0 to 0 in the space of 30 seconds.
How do you do that? I don't understand how you even make that dumb leap to do that.
It's all part of my character arc, Bobby. Follow along.
But the thing is, because Sega got real weird. It went Sega 32X, Sega CD, or did it go CD first? I think it went Sega CD, then 32X,
CD first, then 32X,
then
which was
Saturn.
then Saturn after that.
Okay. That's where
Um,
I think for me personally, and I'm not gonna lie, I owned a Sega Genesis. I did buy it later on. I did buy a Sega Genesis because I was like, hey man, It was like I had all the Nintendo stuff that I could ever really want. And I was like, I would just like to be able to play the other person's console just to see comparatively.
Have you ever admitted this in public before?
I don't know if I have. I don't know if I have.
That's pretty big.
But you know, the thing of it is, seriously, oh, look who finally showed up. The thing of it is,
Who have we got?
Toby.
Hey.
So the thing of it is, at that time, there was different versions of games between the Super Nintendo and the Genesis. So like if you played The Lion King, on the Super Nintendo was different than the Genesis version, and so on and so forth.
Aladdin.
Yeah, Aladdin was different.
Mortal Kombat is the classic example.
Mortal Kombat was one. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, NBA Jam. Also, there was some few differences. Like I think there was a couple of players that were available on that one that weren't on. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure because I remember playing NBA Jam all the time on my Genesis and not on my Super Nintendo. So for me, it was like, okay, this is what it's for. And then the thing came about that they come out with the Sega CD, and I was just like, I believe Nintendo's logic between we don't need load times. That's garbage. And I agreed with that. I was like, I want to put the cartridge in and play. I don't want to sit there and wait for this thing to load up. And then it went to the 32X. And then I was just like, you guys are just throwing garbage at us now.
You're just clutching at straws.
Yeah, now you can't figure out what you're doing. And then right after that, the Sega Saturn came out. I was like, yep, there's proof in the pudding. These guys don't have any idea what they're doing. And
so overpriced as well.
That was the other problem. Yeah.
But yeah, to give you a proper answer to your question though, I think the first system I bought with my own money, with actual money rather than manipulating my family, was probably the Wii. To be honest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I can't quite remember how I got a GameCube, but I have a feeling that my parents probably helped out. To some extent, or I would have swapped whatever system I had before that. Yeah. And then that's generally the way it went for me. The only reason I've got my original NES is because I sold it to my brother for 200 quid. And about a year ago, I went looking around my parents' garage and found it in there, and I just took it back.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. So you sold it to him, and then you stole it from him. Hey,
that's foresight, mate. Yeah?
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
But unfortunately, he doesn't take care of stuff like I do, so he's lost some of the games. I had the Advantage, the joystick.
Yes.
The big old. I had one of those. Don't know where that is anymore. Yeah. So that's a bit annoying, but 200 quid saved.
What is your favorite console, Nintendo console, of them all?
Except the Switch.
Yeah, not allowed to talk about Switch. No Switch.
The Super Nintendo, hands down. I
agree. I'm with you.
Just for the games. Yeah. That jump from 8-bit to 16-bit seems like light years. Yeah. At the time, I don't think we're ever going to see a jump like that again.
No. And I think if Nintendo was to listen to this show, they would have never put out the NES games on the Switch first. Because every person that I bring on, truthfully, Super Nintendo is one of their favorite. It's either Super Nintendo or GameCube. Those are the two. And it's like the NES. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the NES, but man, it's a leap above the Super Nintendo. Is just a leap above it, and everything
in every way.
Yeah, the graphics, the music, like everything.
Graphics. Like I can remember, I was one of the first people to play Star Fox or Star Wing, as we called it here. I don't know why we had to do that.
I think it's
Star Wing.
That's a hell of a name right there.
I went and played it in a local shop before it came out. They were running like a competition. Yeah. And I managed to get like the best time or the best score in the first level or something. Mm-hmm. And got a poster and stuff like that. Don't know where that is. Probably sold it.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. You were like, whatever. Who cares about that stupid thing? I want the game.
When I first saw that running, I was like, oh my god, this is graphics are never going to get any better than this.
Yeah.
Like to go from Mario Brothers
Yeah.
on the Nintendo to that. It's like whoa, it's huge.
You know what's weird is they treat you guys like they
Mm.
treated us with Japan. So Japanese named games, the games are named one thing. By the time they come to the United States, they're totally different. And now I'm learning that they basically did the same thing to you guys.
Oh, we get the crappiest names.
They're
we can't even get zombies ate my neighbors. It's just zombies. Well, you can't eat your neighbors. No,
you know what? You people are so
love thy
uptight.
neighbor.
You people are so uptight, man. You people are
That was weird.
so
We've
uptight.
loosened up since, but
Well, listen, you got
that was weird.
you got Harry over there trying to take Fortnite away from you guys. So it's like really that's the game. That's the thing that amazes me. The stupidity of people sometimes is that's the game you're going to put your finger on and go, that's the one that's bad for kids.
Yeah,
We
the
don't-
cartoony.
Yeah. We don't mess with GTA. We don't mess with Call of Duty.
Fine.
Those are all
Shoot
fun.
as many prostitutes as you want. That's fine, but don't kill a cartoon character.
When I
It's ridiculous.
was mid 20s, I think I was, maybe 27, 28, somewhere in there. My nephew, he loved playing or watching me play GTA because I would drive around and play. So one day I'm like, I'm done with these GTA games. I'm gonna give them to him. And his mom's like, and he was like 7, I think, maybe 6. Like he was young. He was
that's
young.
appropriate.
And I was like, here, Tony, play. Here you go. Here's some games. And his mom's like, are you serious right now? Like you're giving my son? And I'm like, well, he's too young. He don't know what's going on. And so they told him that he could play the game because he used to just like to drive around and play music.
Yeah.
And they told him that the only way you can play the game is if you do not kill people. If you do not like shoot people. So he was like, okay, no problem. So one day his mom is in the kitchen and his bedroom door is open because, we're a kid, you're not allowed to just close the door. So he's playing the game and he's just laughing hysterically. And his mom's like, oh, what is he playing that he's laughing so loud? And she goes in and peeks her head in the bedroom, and he's running people over with the car. he's running the prostitutes over. He's running her, and she's like, that's it, done. Takes the game away. And
he's like, Mum, I found a loophole in your logic. I couldn't shoot anyone. You didn't say anything about mowing them down.
Yeah, this ain't about running them over.
Amazing.
And then that was it. And it turns out now to this day, that's his favorite game. It's a game he has an Xbox One right now, and that's all he plays is GTA. He loves GTA.
It's all your fault.
It's so funny though. It's so funny. But I would never look to that game and go, that's a game that all little kids, and like dummy me, I'm like, there you go. Because I just was like, he's a good kid. He's not going to do something bad.
But to be honest, if you're, in your right mind, you just go, well, it's just a game.
Yeah.
Like I'm not expecting you to go out and actually shoot people. But anyway, I want to say one other thing about the Super Nintendo.
Go ahead.
And talking about games that get renamed, UN Squadron. That is
Stop. Why would you
pinnacle.
bring that game up?
And Sean, if you are listening and watching this, you are bang on with that because that game, I went to Japan, 10 years ago, and my friend that I went with was ill, so I ended up basically just hanging out in Japan myself.
Why?
Went and bought a Super Famicom with that game, and that got me through that 3 weeks where he was just in bed constantly. What a game that is! You not agree? No.
Come
on, man.
I swear to God, I hate you, man. I hate you so much right now.
So good.
This
The
is
shoot, but in all seriousness, the shooters on the Super Nintendo, so like Super Aleste, I never knew if that's how you're supposed to say it, but that's what I used to call it. Just so good, and just an R-Type, Super R-Type. Oh,
that was a good game.
amazing.
I think it was today I saw you tweeting out how proud you were of your Switch collection. What do you?
That's pretty epic, isn't it?
What are you banging in it? How many?
Oh, 150 55.
Okay.
I'm sure yours is much bigger if that's what you're going to do. I know what you're
Well, here's the thing.
It's not about the size, Bobby. It's about what you do with it.
You'd be surprised. You would be surprised, my friend. I'm over 200 right now, and I actually last night I bought Hellblade, and I had to delete games off my memory card because I have a 400 gig and I filled it up.
That's weird. Yeah, do you know what? That's what put me off buying Hellblade.
Yeah,
is because it's like 18 gig, isn't it?
It's massive, man. Well,
it's like,
dude, Wolfenstein, Doom, they're all big games. And Sean, me and Sean were talking. He's like, dude, these third parties just don't know how to compress. They have no clue what compression's about. So
But then you can't complain when the game runs like that.
Oh
like,
my god, did you see that
fair
game?
Enough.
That game is
I can't
gorgeous.
believe that's running on a tiny little tablet like that.
I cannot believe for the life of me that is on the Switch. I was watching Joe after work the other night, and no, Bill. I'm pretty much about, I would say, 75% digital now. But the thing is like I was watching Joe after work stream it the other night, and I was like, dude, this is not the Switch. And he's like, yeah, dude, this is the Switch. And I was like, oh my god, man. So I was like, I gotta play it. So
and it's only like 7 hours long, isn't it? Which is a nice little sweet spot.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's just the perfect time to jump in and play. I mean, I got my review copy I'm doing right now for Quest, so I can't really. I'm playing that all right now because I want to be able to. The day that the embargo pops, I want to be able to be in the forefront and put my review out there of it.
Exactly, same.
So
I think so many people are doing that as well.
So for me, that's So right now, I'm burying into that and just playing that as much as possible. But once that's done, I'll dive into Hellblade and go at it. But I think Quest is probably about 20 hours. I think they said.
Yeah, well, Julius said it was like 20 to 25 hours. It takes him to complete.
Depends on what you're doing. Is essentially what it is, and I think it also depends on what level you play on. Like I think I had to lower last night to sissy mode because I was getting stomped pretty hard at one spot.
Shame on you.
I'm not listen. I'm too old to be playing these games and sitting there wasting my life away, man. No way. You know.
There's really no shame in that at all. I do that all the time and just go, do you know what? I'm starting to not enjoy this anymore.
Yeah.
I just want to finish it now.
Yeah.
Drop it down to easy.
Well, the thing of it is like I was listening to back when Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty used to be on Beyond, and they were talking about Last of Us, and they used to play all their games on hard. And Greg was like, I have no need to play games on hard anymore. Like I'm done. I'm done doing reviews. I'm going to enjoy a story. I'm not going to make the story diminish because I'm so busy trying to kill 80 hordes of, waves of enemies coming at me when I could just get through the storyline, enjoy the story for what it is, and move along. And once I heard him say that, I was like, you know what? That makes a hell of a lot of sense. And then I just started playing games, if it's too easy, I'll ramp it up, and I'll go to, I typically try to start at normal. And then
exactly.
If it's too easy, I'll ramp it up a little bit. Or if it's too hard, then I'll lower. And I'm not, listen, man.
I'm the same. I never consider hard.
Yeah.
If there's three options there, I'll go, I should go for normal, but I always think maybe easy, but never. I don't think I've ever played anything on hard. I just don't like that level of punishment.
Your audio with headphones on keeps panning left to right. Once in a while, I don't know I'm not sure exactly what that means. He's saying, I don't know, something's loose. I don't know.
Weird.
I don't know. I guess it's me. You know what though? Because the audio started getting loud in my ears again. So this stupid Skype might be raising the audio again. Like it's whatever. But anyway, so for me, like I don't kill myself to play.
No.
Like I just play it whatever it is. And
play what level's fun for you, right?
Yes, what exactly.
Gaming is supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't get. I do get it that people enjoy the challenge and overcoming those odds and stuff like that. But I just like something to be at the right level where it's, I'm not stressing myself out about it.
Yeah, exactly. But so the main reason why I brought that up was not to just basically be like I got more games. I could care less about that. It's more or less to say like I can't believe that I hit 400 gigs on this thing, and I'm like, so what I'm probably going to do is probably buy another 400 gig memory card.
And they are way cheaper.
Oh my god, $60, man!
No, but we still pay like 90 quid. I think they've dropped to, which is a lot more than you
Dude,
guys paid
I
for.
paid 200 for the first one I got.
Yeah.
So 60 or 80 or
Sick of
90, I'll take it in a heartbeat, man. You know.
Yeah.
You guys got Brexit issues. That's your problem. That's why.
Exactly.
That's why I think
Exactly.
I think your rates are probably going to plummet. And
I might need to come and sleep on your floor if that's what I think.
I got plenty of room. No worries.
Sweet.
Just you. No kids. No wife. You leave that stuff.
That's absolutely fine.
Okay. you better pray she ain't watching. She'll come.
She won't. She does not care about
Listen,
this at all.
next thing I know, she comes walking up. She punches you in the face. You're knocked out cold. I'm like, okay.
Mate, she's Scottish. You don't want to mess with her.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you made a mistake there, brother.
I'm not saying anymore.
Exactly. She's probably listening at the door.
Yeah.
Say one more word, Benji, and I'm kicking the
Next
door.
time you see me, there'll be bruises.
Yeah. That'd be funny as hell.
Okay.
I'd laugh every minute.
I joke.
No, I know. I'm only joking too. I'm not joking. You can't bring your family, but you're more than welcome. What's something you're looking forward to in 2019?
Oh man, I've got a very kind of short-term look at the future. I just look forward to the next hot thing that's coming out.
Okay,
really.
so what's the next thing you're up on?
Probably Cuphead, I would say. So that's what is that next week? That's coming out
next week, man. Next week, yeah.
Crazy,
something like that. Yeah.
I want to try and finish Quest.
The 18th
when that comes out.
Yeah.
So
wait, okay. Are you playing Quest at the moment or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a review copy as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I want to try and do that.
We'll have to talk after this, not about. I don't want to know anything your opinions or anything because I want to keep it fresh. But I was curious, like whereabouts you are and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
So Cuphead's your next one on the list.
I think so. Yeah. Although, like obviously Hellblade. I think I'll probably wait for a sale for that. It's a pretty good price anyway. But
it's only $30. Well, it was probably like 35, 40 maybe.
Yeah, it's like I think it's £25, which is
that's not
pretty...
bad, dude. That's not bad at all.
Yeah. But Cuphead, to be honest, none of the big, other than Link's Awakening, I'm not really that. I've never played. You know this. I've never played Animal Crossing before. I'm not hyped for that at all.
I just, you know what, man, you just disappoint me more and more this conversation as we go. I thought this was gonna be good, but you just
what a letdown! What a massive mistake!
Well,
you have made
I should have brought Danny on, but whatever. Although he hasn't played it either, so I can't really say anything.
No, but we both did say this will probably be the first one that we jump into. We made you that solemn.
You did make
promise.
me that promise. And,
so we will get it.
And then you guys will be like, "This game is trash. Why do we listen to Bobby?"
Oh God, I played my first Final Fantasy game the other day. Oh my God,
what one?
7. That is not a good place to start.
I feel like
this is rough.
That's a bad. Well, I would have told you to start at 4 or 6 if it was me.
Yeah, I feel like I could have handled that graphic style a little bit better. The older one.
7's a hard one because that's the first foray into polygons, and it's just that stuff don't hold up, man. That stuff does not hold up at all. Even like I was playing 9, and I was like, there's some things I'm like, oh my God, this looks really cool, and then other things I'm just like, man. But
it's weird. Kind of, the theme of the show kind of ties in with my Nintendo history. I feel like I kind of started dropping off around about the time things went 3D.
Yeah.
I just did not. I don't like the 64. I don't have any fond memories of that at all.
Yeah, at the time
I played. Yeah, at the time I played Mario 64.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. I was like, this looks rubbish. And honestly, and everyone talks about, the first time you saw it. I played it. I was like, this is awful. This does not control like Mario. This camera is crap. And now everyone looks back at it and goes, yeah, it was. But at the time, it was amazing.
Well,
but no, it wasn't.
Because at the time, you had nothing like it, No,
you had better games that were made before that.
Well, but that's side-scrolling 2D. You had no 3D, so it's the first foray. The one thing I will say about the 64, and this is what I always liked about Nintendo per se, was they tried things out with Mario, and then they mastered them with Zelda. Like you look at Ocarina, and Ocarina is a really good game compared to, like, they took all they learned from 64 and translated it over to Ocarina. So I was happy with that. I was fine with Ocarina. Listen, I loved 64 just because I was like,
Most people do.
well, don't get me wrong. I knew what I was playing was when it was done and I was moved on to like the GameCube. I could never go back. Like once you advance, like once you get to the point where the polygons start looking better and better and better, the textures, it's hard to go back. Like I can't. I bought it on the Wii, and I was like, oh my god. I bought it on the Wii U when they put it on the Wii U,
Right.
and I was like, dude, the controls are trash. Like man, I get that the fact of like this Wii U Pro controller is nothing like a GameCube controller. No problem. No harm, no foul. I'm okay. Or, no, I'm sorry, like an N64 controller. I get that. I understand. But, man, couldn't you have tied those C buttons, the yellow, the 4 buttons?
Yeah.
Couldn't you have tied them to the stick, to the second analog stick? Like, that would have made the most sense to be like, okay, you flip it left, you flip whatever. But, like, I could not figure out how to move the camera. And it just, like, after about, like, literally 5 minutes, I was like, I'm out.
Same.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did exactly the same on the Wii Virtual Console. I bought that, and it's like, still don't like it. Still, this greatest game of all time. Same, and I'm gonna get some hate for this, but it's the same with Ocarina for me.
Really?
I was like, ugh. I don't know why. I don't know if it was where my head was at the time, but I was just like, this is not what I like.
I didn't.
At all.
I will say this. I liked Ocarina. It definitely wasn't my favorite of all time.
No.
It was not my favorite Zelda of all time. Not even close. But I could appreciate it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I love like playing that open, like getting on, just getting on the horse and taking off and doing all the stuff. It was like, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Like to me, wasn't a huge fan of Majora's Mask because I was just like, it's a lot of more of the same. Like it is what it is. And then, I liked Wind Waker, but that's when I started to fall off. That's when I started to fall off.
That's when I started to come back.
Yeah, was it? Was it?
Yeah. The GameCube kind of brought me back again.
Yeah.
Wind Waker in particular.
Yeah. So for me, don't get me wrong, I loved Wind Waker. I wasn't one of those people like, oh my god, what are these kiddie Disney graphics? Get them out of here. That had nothing to do with it for me. It just was. I hit a point in my life where I was like, okay, it's time to grow up. It's time to start act like an adult and stop playing video games and get a career and dumbest days of my life. You know what I mean? Like that was so stupid. I should just enjoyed myself, but whatever.
I had the same, mate. I've been through exactly the same thing, and it's only the Switch. The Switch has brought me back from that.
Yeah.
I didn't get a Wii U. I was like out of it.
Yeah.
The Wii put me off.
Yeah.
It just, it was just all these kind of gimmicky games, and wasn't a massive fan of any of the big first party games on that.
See, the Wii brought me back. The Wii was what brought me back because of Galaxy. Well, really,
I like Galaxy. I like Galaxy, but I didn't love it.
Yeah.
It's only the Switch that's given me games it's Breath of the Wild.
Oh my god.
It's brought all those like nostalgic feelings back, and actually, oh my god, gaming is amazing.
Yeah.
Of course I want to spend my downtime doing this. What have I been doing the last few years?
Yeah.
You idiot.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you there. Like, I look at Breath of the Wild and I go, man, could you have launched with a more perfect game? And I remember, if you go back and you watch the reaction of, it was Toby, Sean, and I, and we did, and actually at the time my ex-wife was watching with us. And when you watched it and we went through, and Sean was just like, there's no games. And I'm like, do you really? And I was saying it, but I was more, and I know that I was more defending Nintendo at the time. I was like, but do you really need another game? And then when I got in, I realized I didn't. Me personally, I didn't need another game. That game occupied my life for a good month, easily. And then by that time, Mario Kart 8 hit, and then I was off and running.
And Splatoon and ARMS and all that.
Once Splatoon hit, it was like lights out for me. I was locked in, just playing Splatoon all the time, and then like I would jump over and play some other stuff, but I would always go back to Splatoon 2, and it's good stuff.
I think what cemented that, obviously Breath of the Wild is a given, but what cemented the Switch for me was probably SteamWorld Dig 2.
Yeah, that was
when that came out, and
fantastic.
and then I started paying attention to indies, and
Yeah.
then I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
there's not just first party games.
Yeah.
We're not just waiting for like Skyrim to drop.
Yeah.
Look at all these amazing games that are way cheaper than the first party
Oh,
ones,
yeah.
and just as good. And
Oh, yeah.
my memory card is just full of indie games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more excited about them than the first party stuff. To get back to your question from half an hour ago.
No, yeah, for me, you know, Dig 2 was like, when they announced Dig 2, I lost my mind. I remember the day they did the Indies thing, and it was the first Indies thing that they did, and Toby messaged me. He's like, because I knew that something, because I don't know if you know this, I'm a SteamWorld ambassador. So there's a Facebook group that Julius and Brian are part of. They set it up. Image and Form basically set it up. So I kind of get the inside source before it goes live. So before anything goes live, they tell us. Like we knew the release date was going to be. They didn't give us the release date, but they said we're announcing the release date today, and all these different things. So anytime something happens, we know about it well in advance. When they do an engine room, that gets dropped in there before it goes anyplace else. So we get to watch the engine room before it goes live. All these different little things, these little, pluses and benefits of being a part of it.
Can I just, sorry to interrupt, Bobby, what did you have to do to get into this secret society?
So here's the truth. This is the crazy thing. Probably one of the things that people enjoy, one of the things they really enjoy that Image and Form does, is the engine room, correct?
Yeah, yep.
That was my idea. And what happened was they did a contest. They were doing giveaway. During Heist, they were doing all these giveaways. And they were basically saying, like, hey, we're going to ask for, because if you remember during Heist, there was all these hats and stuff. And they were like, draw up some hats. And if we pick your hat, we're going to pick 3 people. If we pick your hat, you get to get ushered into the ambassador group. And what the ambassador group entitles you to is you get all the inside information, and then you get 3 copies of each release on every console. So every time they release a game, I get 3 copies across the board. So when Quest hits PlayStation, I'll get 3 codes for that, and when it hits PC, I get 3 codes for that. Like, we get all that all across the board.
Yeah.
So they're doing all these giveaways, and they go, we want to do something social media wise. What do you think we should do? How would you? And that was my idea. I was like, you guys should do a show, a weekly show, a monthly show, whatever it is, where you come in and you sit down and you talk to the people. Kind of like, I didn't call it like a direct, but I was like, you just talk to the people. Maybe you do interviews with some of the artists or some of the creative people behind the scenes. They love the idea. They were like, you win, you're in. So that's what I did. And ever since, that's the way. So I've been since Heist. So it was pretty.
It's a great idea, though, man.
It was
more devs should do that.
Well, the thing that I love is it's the one thing that I can point to and go, you guys all watch this. That was me. Like that was my idea. So I love that part of it. Like that's every time I see one, I get all excited because I'm like, damn, this is my idea. So it's kind of cool. And I was also, before they disbanded Zoink, a CEO, which was Zoink Executive, whatever weird name. I forget what that exactly was. And that was very similar thing. And I just got put into that just because I was always very super supportive of them. But in Flipping Death, my picture is a mural in the game, and so I was like, yeah, I gotta do that. But anyway, that's
so cool, man.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You're in a game, and a good game as well. That's pretty cool.
So anyway, long story, you got me off on a tangent. Don't ever ask me questions again because I get long winded.
I'm determined to make this the longest episode ever.
It's already pushing it because right now normally I'm like, okay, so thank you, Benji.
That is all.
That is exactly. You got it down. So the thing is like with Height or with Dig 2, man, because I love Dig so much. So with Dig 2, I was just like, oh my god. But then I think, like you said, so I'm sorry, let me back it up. So the first Nindies thing comes up, and they kind of tip us off that like something's going to happen that day, and I was like, weird. That came out of nowhere. Like, we just had Heist not that long ago. Like, we got a new game already coming? I was like, okay. And then Toby texts me. I'm at work, and Toby texts me. Oh, my God, Bobby. Did you see...
Sorry, can you read this out in Toby's voice, please? In his accent.
I don't... he gets mad. He gets... Bobby, did you... He gets so mad.
Bobby.
He gets so mad when I try to use this accent. Like, you lost your accent, Bobby. You can't do it anymore. So he messages me and he's like, Bobby, did you see what image of form? I'm like, I have not seen anything. Shut up. And then when I saw, and I was like floored. But not only that Nindies showcase was Flipping Death got announced at that show. Runner 3. Not Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy got the second one. But there was probably 5 games that got me hyped. And I was like, wow, we're not only getting these great Nintendo games coming, we're getting some great indie games that are coming. And it's just been, every year you probably got 5 amazing indie games hitting. Yeah. Every year.
Well, look, not this would ever happen, but if we only had indie games last year, it would have been a stellar lineup anyway.
Yeah.
Dead Cells, Hollow Knight, this is top tier games.
Well, let's be honest. Dead Cells wasn't that good. It was just the fact that Philip Mewson was a jackass that just made.
I see you. You're trying to segue.
We could. You know what? Yeah, we are. So
I see what you're doing here.
Let's talk this for a second, because I'm gonna actually just take my hat off now. We're gonna chillax a little bit. I'm gonna take my glasses off because we're gonna wrap in a minute here. But I want to kind of. Because everybody thinks I wear glasses. I don't wear glasses. I just wear them for looks. Hey, you know what? Let me put it back on. Makes me look smarter. I look stupid when I don't have it on.
That's the only reason I wear them.
So the thing is, right? We were talking about before we went on the air. Because I was playing your video. And maybe that's what we'll do. We'll close with your video. So people won't stick around. We'll close with Benji's video. But you kind of take shots at Philip Mewson.
Yeah.
And I don't. Here's the thing: you take shots, but this is the difference. You're not being malicious.
No,
I don't feel when I watch it, and I think it's hysterical. I think it's hysterical how you're wording it and how you're doing it, and I feel like if comedy is done in a right way, it's and that to me was the perfect comedic shots. But not vengeful shots. It was just kind of being funny off the...
Well, I think that's the thing with, trying something like that. You have to take shots at everyone.
Yeah.
You can't... I don't want to single the guy out. He's just some dude that made a mistake.
Yeah.
And unfortunately didn't hold his hands up and accept the mistake. He tried to worm his way out of it. And that's why he's got all the vitriol. Yeah. But, I mean, for me, it was like, I'm taking some shots at him, but I'm taking the shots at people taking shots at him.
Yeah.
As well, because that's part of it. It's like, all right, lay off the guy.
Yeah.
Look at you all putting out videos about him like you're really emotionally affected by this and getting hundreds of thousands more views than you would normally get.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Who's, you're all making, a name for yourself off of his mistake. So I feel like if you're going to aim at anyone, aim at everyone.
My thing was with Apple, and I'm on record for saying it. I feel like he screwed up. He definitely, whether it was on purpose or not, it's a mistake. And when I say mistake, it was just something that shouldn't have happened. But my thing was I didn't feel like he owed you, me, the people in the chat. He didn't owe any of us an apology. He owed the people that he ripped off. He owed IGN. And he owed the game developers an apology. And if he would have just come out and said, hey, I apologize to one, and never said to anybody else, I would have been fine with it. But I think that because he didn't do anything at all, I was just like, wow, this guy just blew it. And
and even still, man, I still feel sorry for him for blowing it, because how dumb do you need to be to not realize that all you need to do is just hand on heart go, do you know what? I was under a lot of pressure, and I made a ridiculous mistake, and I've ruined my career. I had the dream job, the job that everyone wants, and I threw it away.
My only,
and that would have brought me to tears and made me want to give him a big cuddle. Okay, maybe not that far.
My only thing that I had this conversation with Bad Bit off the air. Him and I had a conversation about it because he did a video and he ransacked him, and I just said to him, I'm like, here's my fear. These were my fears. People are attacking him, and this is where people will kill themselves. And how are you going to feel if you're the person that puts out the video that attacks him and you're part of that mob mentality?
Yeah.
Because if you're in a situation where whether you admit it or not or whatever, you did it on purpose, you didn't do it, but you did something wrong and you're getting called out. I don't know what it felt like to be him when the entire internet is turning on him and just firing at him. So that
nerd rage. You need to watch for that nerd rage. Do not get on the wrong side of them.
It can be bad.
Because but you don't really care about him doing that. You're just having a shot because it's easy to do.
Yeah. So my thing, but the other thing I said to Joe was, what I felt was wrong was there was people that were his friends when he was on the come up because they were getting the rub and they were blowing up with him, and they totally turned their backs on him. And I kind of felt like, man, if that was something like, Benji, if you did something so stupid, I would not. I'm just saying, but I wouldn't turn on you. And I told that to Joseph. I was like, I would not have turned on you. No. I said I would have pulled you aside and said, man, what the hell were you thinking? And I probably would have said to him, like, bro, even the apology, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
You know, like, you need to go out there. You need to sincerely, and this is why you're wrong. And and then helped him to guide him to kind of, but that's what that's what friends do. And that's where I felt like that was the things that were making me feel bad for him. I didn't feel bad for him in terms of like, he was kind of getting what he deserved in the terms of like, in terms of losing the job, not having the credibility anymore, that stuff. The attacks, I don't feel like anybody deserves that. You know, only the people that are essentially harmed are the ones that should be able to attack, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and I think that's fair enough. I seem to recall at the time, I'm sure I tweeted this. I'm not going to go back on Twitter and look, but I think Planet Nintendo I'm sure I said, this is the most level-headed take on the whole Philip Mewson thing. Mm-hmm. It's like, you guys are basically saying what we've just said now. Yeah, of course this was dumb. He shouldn't have done it, and he's made it even worse. He's added more fuel to the fire, but it's just a guy that made a mistake, and he's clearly not the sharpest tool in the box either.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Anyway, so...
But yeah, so that, I wasn't doing it as I wanted to make sure it took me a long time to write that particular part of it, because I wanted it to be, looking back at that year in a fun, silly kind of way, but also, look, this was the biggest talking point.
Yeah, absolutely.
For us all.
Absolutely.
That year. So I had to mention it, but I didn't want to do it.
But you said something to me off the air, and I found it interesting, and you were like, if you didn't mention it, you felt like maybe a couple people that worked at IGN did you guys reach out to them, or did you guys like at them? So like
so this is how this is my first contribution to Switch Island. Was that song, and I did it all, and I didn't tell the guys I was making it. I was just like, all right, I've got this little video. I just want to show you, see what you think, and if you want to put it out, okay, fine. And that was the first thing I ever gave them.
Yeah.
But obviously, me and Dan kind of spoke about it in the aftermath of it, and we were like, yeah, do you know what? I think Brian, Pear, those guys maybe would have paid attention to it if you didn't put the Philip Mewson stuff in.
Yeah.
But and I think that's fair, because I think that they probably would have been more likely to support it. Yeah. But also, if I'm just a nobody, which I am, but if I'm just tweeting Brian Altano going, oh, they've got this song you might like, is he going to pay any attention to it anyway? What's going to get it in someone of that level's face, you know? But
probably not.
It's only the good guys like you, Bobby, who paid any attention whatsoever.
You can thank Toby, not me. Toby's the one that showed it to me, and
Toby's a gangster though.
Toby,
he knows. He's got his ear to the street.
Oh,
he knows.
Stop.
He knows what's
You're
going
just
on.
trying to make sure that he don't beat you up when you come on the show. That's the problem. Anyway, so Benji, thank you for coming on, man. I truly appreciate this. We will do this again.
It's been a pleasure.
Because this was fun. This was a lot of fun. We didn't really talk a lot of Nintendo. We just talked.
Just talked.
BS.
It's
You know
almost,
what I mean?
are we even live? I don't even know. Have we started
I don't think so. You know, we went a little tiny over. Not too bad. Real quickly before we wrap up, let the people know where they can find you, all that good stuff.
Cool. So you can find me. Twitter's the best place. Benji Cong on Twitter, but also at switch_island or switchisland.co.uk is our website. There we go. And there's a t-shirt there. And also, what else am I doing? Actually, I don't know if you know this, Bobby. I'm also writing for Switch Player magazine.
Get out.
Yeah. So my first contribution will be in next month's issue.
Have
you actually heard of this magazine?
No, never.
Oh man.
Is it UK only?
No, it's worldwide distribution.
Get out.
Honestly,
how would I get my hands
up.
on something like that?
I think just Google Switch Player magazine.
Okay.
And it'll come up. But I'll send you a link to it anyway.
Okay, yeah, please do.
But yeah, it's a quality little publication. I think it's the only print magazine for the Switch in circulation. So
no, is Nintendo Force still out there?
Might be, yeah.
Yeah, so Nintendo
maybe.
But that's
okay.
And let's be fair. Nintendo Force is a real magazine. Not that little comic book thing you had in your hands.
No, this is actually a full size magazine. I've just got really big hands.
No comment. I'm just gonna let that one go. Let's
not touch that one. But yeah, so very, very kind of happy to be contributing to that. So I have my first review and maybe a little article in next month's issue. So if none of you,
man, congratulations.
Yeah, pretty happy with that.
I'll check it out. I will subscribe or whatever they have. And to show some support.
Tell them I sent you.
I will. So the only reason I'm buying it is because Benji Cong. That's it. Otherwise, I'm not going to read it. The minute you guys get rid of Benji, just expect my subscription to just disappear. And they'll probably be like, "Okay, see you later. Bye, Benji."
All right, later.
See. Yeah. But thank you guys for coming out, tuning in, and all that. We're going to wrap up. We're going to show Benji's video one more time before we're done, and that is all. Peace out, Preston.
Everybody's like, oi mate, what's your game of the year? There's way too many, man, it ain't really clear. Sat down with a blank page and a beer, and I waited and prayed that a name would appear. But nope, and at the very moment I lost hope. I put 2018 in the super scope and came up with this tune and it's super dope. It goes, Dear Philip Mewson, this whole year's been a bit confusing. You wanna come back cause you're sick of losing. I know you love a quick solution, so here goes. Allow me to offer my work. I wanna make a living off of these words. I need to get popular first. So could you please copy this verse? Put it up on your YouTube, and if I'm lucky then it might get a few views. And when the trolls roll up to abuse you, I'll be like, this motherfucker stole my song, boo-hoo. My scheme might seem like a pipe dream, like having more than a dark and a light theme. But we can make it easy as cash, then you never ever see me like Waluigi and Smash. But all jest aside, I'm in a war frame of mind, it's genocide. Or should I take the pacifist route, so you wouldn't have an inkling when I happen to shoot and splatter your troops? Diablo made me do it because cash is the root. I'm gathering loot till tomorrow night and dropping out of the blue like Hollow Knight. And when the needle drops, you get chopped in half. Trying to block my octopath, it won't end well. They tell tales where the walking dead fell. You ain't a terrorist threat, that's a dead cell. My SD card weighs a ton, a Nintendo dad trying to raise my son. So I grind till the game is won, and everybody put their hands in the air like praise the sun. Have them bouncing around like Yoku, shooting a messenger is something that you don't do. You better mute that sound, boy, cause I couldn't give a hoot like owl, boy. I'm a foul boy, every song written pops out with a bang like bomb chicken. With 20 or 30 releases a week, I'm channeling Madeline, reaching the peak, into the breach. Hyper like drifting through limbo, I made it inside by the skin of my teeth. Cause it's hard to function when the stress increases in the darkest dungeon. But I'm so far from the ordinary, I get more shout outs than Sean Capri. Old school like a Ford Capri, or a mini Metro. Yeah bro, the kid is retro, but I'm still dressed in the freshest clothing when I'm in the bad north or the west of Lothing. You want beef cause I overlooked you. Well, I like my beef overcooked too. It's all part of the master plan. I move like a whole army of master hands, and it will take more than a warp star to escape it. The name's Kong, of course I go H. It's the 2018 switch up. It's the 2018